Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Simplifying Business Studies. So this is going to be part 2 of chapter 5 of class 12 organizing. I'm sure you have watched my previous video also. In the previous video we started the chapter and we tried to understand the concept of organizing in detail. In this part we will do the further topics. So let us quickly go ahead and see what we have today for all of you. So let's first see what is the content of this chapter. So this chapter will include meaning of organizing, process of organizing, importance of organizing, functional and divisional structure, then again advantages, disadvantages and suitability of these two type of structures, delegation and elements of delegation, importance of delegation, then afterwards we will understand the meaning of centralization and decentralization and importance of decentralization. So in my previous video, I tried to make you all understand what is the meaning of organizing through certain examples, and we also understood different definitions of organizing through some good scholars. In this video, we will understand the process of organizing. So let's quickly start this session. So this is the whole organizing process which you can see in front of you. It includes these steps. The first step is identification and division of work. Second being departmentalization. Third, assignment of duties. And fourth, establishing reporting relationship. Now we will understand all of them one by one. So very first is identification and division of work. You can see there is a good diagram in front of you, good picture in front of you, where we can see every worker has a different task, and every worker who does his task, they are specializing in those tasks. So this is what the aim of division of labor is. So now let's understand what is identification and division of work. So the very first step in the organizing function of management is identifying and dividing the work as per the plan. So division of work makes sure that there is no duplication of work and there is no burden of work on one person alone. Work can be shared among different employees, and manager divide this kind of whole work of an organization into small units, and each of those units is called a job. Let us first see what is there on our screen. So management must ensure that all the activities required to achieve the organizational objectives are identified. First, we need to identify all pieces of work which are to be done necessarily to achieve certain organizational objectives. Then the whole work, the total work to be done should be divided into specific jobs as according to the predetermined plans. Then the whole work is again divided into small pieces of work, small and specific jobs. Now what is a job? A job is a set of related tasks that can be performed by an individual. It should have specific and definite tasks to be performed. As far as possible, it should define expected results along with the job. So if someone is given all the work related to handling accounts in a department, so the person will take care of this position, this job which is called an accountant's job, and he will be given all the set of related tasks which are as per his own capabilities, his education, his qualification. So all these tasks which are grouped together, they are assigned to this one person, and this is called a job. Generally what happen is, when we give someone certain responsibility, we also tell them, we also define what is the expected result we want to derive from that person. So this can also be defined along with the assignment of duties, along with the job. So the next step is, so this step ensures specialization of efforts and skills and thus avoids duplication of work. This is what I just told you. once I introduce this topic. So this step ensures that everyone who is doing that particular job specializes in that job, so that there is no wastage of resources and there is no duplication of work. So which saves lot of resources and lot of energy of all the personnel in the organization. So this being the first step, identification and division of work. Next step is departmentalization. As the name is so suggestive, this is somewhere we create different departments for all the work to be done. For example, this is one organization where there is a general manager and he takes care of four different departments. So these departments are here based upon certain functions which are to be performed in this organization. These functions are human resources, purchase, production, and marketing. So this departmentalization can be on the basis of certain functions which are performed in that organization, and these can be on certain other basis also. We will definitely understand in the later part of this video. So let's see what is departmentalization. Grouping similar and related jobs into a larger unit called departments, divisions or sections, and placing them under a department head. It facilitates specialization. For example, in your school, there is a science department. What does that science department do? That science department takes care of all the activities related to this particular subject called science. There is a mathematics department also. In that department, all the activities which are related to mathematics, like from very junior classes to all the senior classes, those are taken care in that department. So why do we need to create these departments? Because these departments definitely provides certain kind of specialization in the subject. So this is what a major objective to be achieved by organizations also. They group similar and related job and they create departments, and then they assign a department head, because it is definitely not possible to ask about whatever is done in that department from each and every person in the department. So if we will assign a department head to that department, it will be a easy procedure for an organization to get reports about that department. So it provides specialization. Yes, different departments in an organization, they are linked together and they are interdependent also. So yes, all these departments separately work for their own purposes, but together they are all linked for the accomplishment of one common goal of an organization. For example, there is a purchase department in the organization. It takes care of all the purchase activities individually. But yes, how much purchase it will make, it will depend upon what is the requirement of the production department. So yes, they all work separately, they all work independently, but somehow they all are interdependent on each other. Aims at achieving coordination and facilitate unity of action. So yes, all these departments, when they work interdependently, they all achieve coordination and they also facilitate unity of action at the same time. So this departmentalization can be done on three different bases: on the basis of functions, on the basis of products, and on the basis of territories. Function I have already explained. These are all different functions which are performed in an organization. That can be marketing, HR, which is also called personnel, finance, production, purchasing, etc. Or else there are different products which a company makes, which an organization makes. So this departmentalization can be on the basis of different products. There can be a textile department which performs all the functions separately. There is chemical department which performs all its functions separately. So this kind of division is as per the products. Again, territories, there can be different departments, maybe the western department of an organization, or the northern zone, or the central zone, or the eastern zone. So this is as per the region or as per the territory. Next is assignment of duties. Let's see what it means. So let's understand what is assignment of duties. After dividing the whole work of an organization into special departments, each individual working in different department is assigned a duty matching to his skills and qualifications. So the work is assigned according to the ability of the employees. Employees are assigned these duties by giving them a certain document which is called job description. So this document clearly defines the content and the responsibilities related to the job. So this is what assignment of duties is. Let's see what you have on your screen. So define the work of different job positions and allocate work accordingly. So yes, what is the work for a certain job position, that has to be defined first, then that has to be allocated. Once the department are formed, the department is placed under the charge of an individual. Once there is any department, then definitely there has to be an in charge of that department. So these jobs are assigned to an individual. Whosoever is taking care of any job, he is given that job which is best suited to him as per his qualification, experience, abilities, aptitude. uh, Keeping all these things in consideration, people are given these jobs, which which their seniors, which their superiors think that they can match up to their expectations. Let's see what example we have. Activities of finance should be assigned to the person having qualification and experience in finance, for example CS. So yes, this is how we make sure that the person who is doing a certain job, he is qualified, he is experienced enough to match the duties of that job. So this is what assignment of duties is. Now let us understand the last step in the process of organizing: establishing reporting relationships. So what is establishing a reporting relationship? After grouping the activities in different departments, the employees have to perform their job, but there has to be some kind of authority which they need to perform that job. So assignment of this kind of authority results in creation of certain superior and subordinate relationship, and the question of who reports to whom is clarified. The individuals of higher authority becomes the superior, and the people with lesser authority, they become subordinates. So this kind of relationship is created through which the whole hierarchy of an organization is maintained. So now let's understand this through these points. Granting requisite responsibility to enable an employee to perform a job satisfactorily. Yes, absolutely. If we are giving certain responsibility to someone, we have to provide the person with adequate amount of authority to perform that job satisfactorily. Superior subordinate relationship is created between different people and job positions, so that everybody knows to whom he has to take orders from and to whom he can issue an order. So yes, in an organization, I am talking about like from small to big, every organization, there is a difference between the authority which is given to different people. So this authority decides that who will give orders to whom and who will take orders from whom. So this creates a superior subordinate relationship in an organization, and definitely it creates a management hierarchy. What is management hierarchy? A chain of command from the top manager to the individual at the lowest level. This is the hierarchy from where like orders and the powers, these are maximum at the top level and lowest at the lower level. So this definitely helps in coordination. This helps in syncing all the activities properly to let the organization achieve its goal properly. So children, we have reached the end of this video. I'm sure this content is understandable to all of you. If you still have any questions, you can always get in touch with me through this email or the comment box of this video. Uh, Please like this video and share it with your friends, and do subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Thank you so much. Have a very nice day ahead.